Well, welcome back. There's nothing more annoying than going to a location to photograph an object or a famous landmark and having loads and loads of people all over the shot, and knowing that you've got to take the image back to the studio or home and having to do lots and lots of cloning. Well, I'm going to show you a technique today where will enable us to get Photoshop to do the majority of the work for us and to get rid of all those annoying people in shot. Now, acting as an annoying person today, I've got my son who's in the background doing something or other, I'm not sure what, probably vandalising, and he's going to act as the annoying person in the shot, moving around, which he's well trained to do. So we'll set the camera up and we'll take you through it step by step. Well, welcome back. We're now in the studio, and I've got my shots together. I've processed some of these raw files into JPEGs just to keep this the resolution nice and small, so we're not slowed down by huge files. As I said earlier, this tutorial is done in Adobe Photoshop CS3 Extended. The scripts function is only available in that version, unfortunately. But don't despair if you haven't got CS3 Extended. I'll show you a free alternative solution a little later on in the video. So basically, the idea behind these shots is if you're out on location, maybe let's say a famous landmark, and you've got tourists climbing all over your shot. It can be very, very frustrating, especially if you don't want people in your images, which I think a lot of us don't. Now, my solution is always, I'll go to these locations at daybreak, at dawn, if the location's in the right area and the sun's in the right direction. That way, you can almost guarantee you're the only person out there shooting at that time in the morning, apart from maybe a few street cleaners and a couple of dogs, but you won't find many tourists about at all. So that's your best solution to this. But if you can't, for whatever reason, and you've got to shoot when there's lots of people about, then this is one way of getting round and getting rid of all those people out your shots without spending hours and hours in front of the computer. For this to work successfully, you need to take lots of shots. Now, I shot these on a tripod. This is actually a fairly easy one because I'm only really dealing with just Gabriel in shot. But if you imagine the same scene with lots and lots of tourists about, then it can become a bit of a nightmare. So you need to shoot lots and lots of images. Now, the reason for that is Photoshop needs to have frames where there's not people covering the background up. For instance, you've got a shot here of Gabriel stood in front of the platform. We also need a shot in another frame of that bit of the platform without anybody in, like this one. And it's the same with up here. There's a shot of him by the little shelter here. We also need a frame without him or anybody in front of that shelter, so Photoshop's got something to work with. You can, like I said, shoot these handheld or with a tripod. Now, the other good thing about this feature, it's absolutely great for removing image noise. So if you've got a bit of a low light situation like this was, and you haven't got a tripod, don't worry about shooting at 400 or 800 ISO because, like I said, this is a very good way of removing image noise from the image. In very basic terms, the way this works is that we run a script in Photoshop and it takes all the images we have open and combines them into a stack, into a smart object, into one single layer. Don't worry, I'll show you this in a minute. It then runs the medium filter, and what that does, the medium filter will look at all the pixels in each of the frames, and any pixels that are in the frame more than 50% of the time are left alone. So for instance, it'll look at all these pictures and it'll see that this sign and this hut is in the image in the same place, more than 50% of the time, and it will leave it alone. It will not touch it. However, any object like Gabriel that's not in each frame more than 50% of the time will be removed. So this image is obviously in this frame here, but in the next one is not. So it'll calculate and remove those objects. So hence, anything that's static, like the buildings, the sign, the bridge, won't be touched. Whereas anything like tourists, people walking by, cars, are going to be removed. So it goes without saying that this technique really only works with static objects. So as I said, I've processed my raw files and I've actually saved these out as JPEGs just for this tutorial. Normally I wouldn't do that, I'd use TIFFs for myself. So I've processed these out, and now what we'll do is select all, so Command or Control A, and we want to go to File and Open. That's now opened all my images within Photoshop. The next step is to go to File, Scripts, and you'll see one here, load files into stack. Now that will bring up a dialog box. You can just go add open files because we've already got them open. And you've got two check boxes here. Attempt to automatically align source images, we'll tick that. And we're going to create a smart object after loading the files. And then this may take quite a while depending on how many images you've got. Now I haven't actually shot that many because there's only Gabriel in shot, but if this was a crowded scene, you want to shoot lots and lots of files, images, so it will take quite a while, of course, depending on your computer system, etc., etc. So just click OK, and then that will do its job, and then open up in Photoshop when it's completed. Now, if you tick the box that says automatically align source images, and you didn't use a tripod like I have, your images may appear slightly overlapped at the edges when this processes. So just bear that in mind. You may need to go in with the crop tool and just crop the image down. I don't anticipate that problem because, as I said, I use a tripod, so the images aren't going to be that misaligned. That filter's now finished. So if we double click on the smart object that it's created, we should be able to see all our images here, all in the layers palette, like so. So we'll close that off. The next step is to work the magic and remove all the people, or should I say Gabriel, from our image. So we go to Layer, we go to Smart Objects, Stack Mode, and then we're going to Median. Again, depending on how many layers you've got, file size, etc., this will take a little while to finish. As if by magic, there's our finished image without any people in shot. Now, I would recommend zooming in and just checking the picture at 100% just to make sure there's no kind of ghosting or anything, any artifacts or anything, because as I said, if someone's static in a lot of the frames, you may get like a ghosting effect, and you'll need to go in with the clone brush and the healing brush tool and just clean those up. But I think you'll agree that is a big time saver if you're doing these type of shots and you've got a lot of people in there that you don't want in. This is good to know that you can literally take a series of pictures and be able to get rid of those without any manual labour. Now, before I finish off, I'll just tell you about this site I came across. It's called snapmania.com. I've got no affiliation to this site. I've not even used the site, to be honest with you. I was just very conscious that this tutorial was very based upon CS3 Extended, and I know everybody doesn't own CS3 Extended, so I was looking for some alternatives for you to try, and this one cropped up. It looks pretty good. It's free, so give that a try. I'll put the URL up on the bottom of the screen now, so you can jot that down, check it out, try it out, and see what it's like. So I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial, and until next time, thanks for watching. Cheers.